Lesson 9B, we are testing the mean difference for dependent samples. So what that means is we have samples where like we're testing some sort of treatment. So we're looking at something before and then looking at that same thing after. All right, and the samples are dependent, so they're paired up. So let's just look at our example. Okay, a shoe manufacturer claims athletes can increase their vertical jump using their new strength shoes. So they have 8 athletes. They measured their vertical jumps before and then after using the shoes. So like these two numbers, 24 and 26, go together because they are the same person. That's what we mean by dependent samples. All right, so steps. This looks very familiar because it's the same steps that we've used for all of our hypothesis testing. The big difference is number 3, how are we using the calculator? So let's look at our calculator steps. All right, 2 things that I want to point out here that are different from what we've been doing. We are going to enter the difference for each pair in our data in list 1. Okay, so normally we've just been entering statistics here. We're actually going to put stuff in the list and then have the calculator use that list to do some math for us. Okay, it's going to be a 1 sample t-test. And then again, when we go into the t-test, for data, we're going to choose list. We've been doing this one. We've been doing variable and entering in the information. We're not going to do that anymore. We're going to use the list. Okay, this is always going to be the alternative hypothesis as usual. The mu0 is always going to be 0 when we're testing mean difference. All right, and then the frequency is always going to be 1. So let's get into this example. All right, so as always, we're going to start by writing our hypotheses. Okay, and so the shoe manufacturer claims that people can increase their vertical jump. Now, when we're doing these dependent samples, what we are looking at is called mu d, or the mean difference, all right, the average difference for each person's before and after. So if the shoe manufacturer is claiming that the shoes can increase their vertical jump, then they are claiming that the average difference is going to be greater than 0 because it's going to increase. It's going to be some positive number. All right, just like with all our other hypothesis testing, greater than 0, that does not have an equal sign, so that's going to go in the alternative hypothesis. So the mean difference is greater than 0. All right, and so then our null hypothesis would be the opposite of that. So the mean difference would be less than or equal to 0. All right, once we have our hypotheses, then we need a p-value. So now we go to the calculator. All right, so I'm in use stat, just like we've been doing. And then in list 1, I'm going to enter the difference for each pair. Okay, so in list 1, 26 minus 24, that person improved their vertical by 2. Person number 2 went from 22 to 25, so they improved by 3. Person number 3, all right, stayed at 25, so their difference was 0. Person number 4 went from 28 to 29, they improved by 1. Person number 5 went from 35 to 33, so their actually went down 2, so I'm going to put in negative 2. All right, person number 6 went up 2, person number 7 went up 5, and person number 8 went up 3. Okay, so once I have all my data in there, we're going back to like what we've been doing. So test is F3. It's going to be a t-test and a 1 sample t-test. All right, we want list. Here we're going to pick, our alternative hypothesis. So ours was greater than 0. That's going to stay 0. All of that is going to stay what it is. All right, and so I run the test and I get a p-value of 0.026. Okay, so my p-value is 0.026. Alpha is 0.10. All right, when I compare p to alpha, p is less than alpha. So that means I am going to reject the null hypothesis. I believe I have enough evidence to support the alternative hypothesis. When we go to write our sentence, we need to know where the claim is. So our claim was that the mean difference is greater than 0. So our claim is in the alternative hypothesis. Our conclusion is going to be we reject the null hypothesis. Again, I'm going to abbreviate. We reject the null hypothesis because the p-value is less than alpha. So, okay, and then so, the hypothesis that we believe we have evidence to support is the one where the claim is. So there is enough evidence. All right, there is enough evidence to support the claim. Sorry about my sloppy handwriting. I'm just trying not to make this video take 10 minutes. All right, there is enough evidence to support the claim that the shoes help to increase your vertical. Okay, and that is it for 9B.